neighborhood, but in mine, I have somebody, oop, I have somebody who has his beds blown. He will have no leaves on his property. So they come twice a week. There'll be two fellows that come and they will blow every leaf, and his beds are totally devoid of any leaves. So he keeps that totally bare, and then he mulches it down. So that's horrible for any kind of pollinators, beneficial insects. And then it also just strips the top of the soil, which even like an inch of soil takes, I think, tens of thousands of years to create, and that's being blown away. But there is alternative equipment that is readily available, and it's really improving exponentially even right now. So over the last decade, batteries have become more powerful, they last longer. There are many manufacturers that do, especially at the residential level, a comparable job. But even getting to larger, like for schools and municipalities, there are several universities and cities around the country that have totally switched to environmentally sound using electric battery operated equipment. And we work closely with the American Green Zone Alliance. Think of them as the consumer reports of lawn maintenance equipment. They don't work for any of these organizations, but they do evaluate them and they make recommendations. They're actually going to be coming into New Jersey for a couple meetings, and people that are part of the hub are always invited when we have things for them to get to learn about how to safely use EV equipment, how to evaluate it, what's best for you. From a social justice point of view, and there are several communities in our group that are really working actively on this. It is horrible for the landscapers themselves. So not always the owners, but the landscapers themselves. If you observe them, they often don't have proper equipment. They don't know how to use the equipment properly. They're at it for hours each day, and they acknowledge that they know that it's dangerous for their health. They know that they're losing their hearing, and they're not going to complain because they need the job. They don't have insurance. So I really want to especially highlight Princeton, that they got a grant and they're working with Unidad, which is an organization that works in the Spanish-speaking communities to help educate them. And they're helping these businesses migrate over to EV equipment. So in terms of accelerating the transition, every town is different. So Montclair, where Peter is from, and Maplewood, they already have bans in place. Summit is exploring, they're right now in the middle of a one-year summer pilot. My town is not ready to go to an ordinance change yet, but we're very interested in educating our residents and our landscapers on why they should think about alternatives and ultimately have sustainable landscaping. So we're tackling this through education first. We're going to be sponsoring on October 2nd. You're all welcome to come, an EV car and lawn maintenance show where we'll be able to demonstrate sustainable landscaping practices. And we're also piloting with our municipality a site that AGZA, the American Green Zone Alliance, is going to come and help us start to migrate over to some EV battery electric operated equipment that we can use, so we can demonstrate with our municipality before we ask our residents to make the change. That's my short, Ken, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks, Lois. That was a great presentation. There certainly is time for questions. I do notice that someone had posted that the electric leaf blowers actually can be rather noisy, and I've actually noticed the same thing. My neighbor bought one, and the pitch is maybe a little higher. whether it's more or less than a gas blower, I would guess maybe a little less, but still it's surprisingly loud.
Mhm.
I guess it's just the noise that the wind that the air makes, as it's being, blown out. It's basically a jet. One way or the other, jets make noise. Are some models better at muffling that, or?
Mhm. I won't speak for, Dan Mabe is the expert. So I know he would say part of it is learning how to use it properly. But they are quieter. Certain models are definitely quieter. They have less of that low frequency damage, but there's still noise. There's no doubt about it. So you're getting less of you're not getting the particulate. That's the really big push.
Mhm.
And the noise is less, and noise, just like a Geiger counter, so it's exponential. So going from 80 to 85 is not like 5 more, it's like 100 times more kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it really, really makes a difference,
Mhm.
even less. But that would be the kind of thing that when we have our expert come, and Dan actually goes to all these manufacturing facilities, he's been to China, he can really talk through with communities how you evaluate what's most important to you.
Okay. There's another question about commercial landscaping companies that use electric equipment. You may not be wanting to, push any of these, but do you have lists of companies that do
That's a
offer
great
this service?
question. So one of the things that we are we have a number of initiatives, let's put it this way, so, and we're all over the state. So one of them is we've asked all of our members to source out those landscapers that are using sustainable practices. And I would guess it's different around your county. There's probably not one that would work for everybody, but we do have a group that is trying to get a statewide registry. There is a registry at the state level for organic landscaping, but not one for sustainable. So it is something that we'd like to see happen. And I would think Sylvia and for sure could tell you if there's anybody in the county that you're aware of.
Yeah, we are starting to collect a list of sustainable landscapers in our area of the Glen Rock area at least. And right now we know of 3 of them. And we are probably going to reach out maybe through Facebook and ask residents, if there are more, and just try to compile a list and make it available. It would be good to work together with other towns on this. It's important to provide the information to the residents, so they can get some information and their quotes more easily that way. It's definitely one of the goals that we have.
Yes. Another initiative that Sylvia has helped us with that we'll have ready to roll out in September is we've come up with a series of checklists. One is a checklist that residents can use with their landscapers to ask them to adopt certain sustainable practices. And it will be in English and Spanish and hopefully in Portuguese as well, where they could say, please don't use gas leaf blower on my property, or please, it's okay to leave some leaves on the lawn. It doesn't have to be completely denuded of any leaves at all. The other checklist is for residents that takes them through from basic to sort of expert level sustainable landscaping practices.
And an additional thing we can just mention quickly, I know also I haven't discussed this at the hub yet. You're the first one to talk about this, Louis, tonight. We have a summer intern working with us, Jen. She's actually here on the meeting tonight, and she has been working on compiling a survey that we would like to launch soon for residents. And the survey, is kind of has neutral questions. We don't want to have inflammatory questions or pressure for people to switch at this point. We are just at the point where we're preparing material to raise awareness of the alternative. that exists to gas blowers and educate people about the detrimental effects that Luis has talked about. And so Jen is working on making a few flyers, and she has worked on a survey that we're trying to finalize and then kind of send it out through emails and Facebook. And this we will also share, with the ATL group. We already got several comments from them. So yeah, we're kind of all working together, just like on Basecamp, right? The hub is working on preparing, material for outreach, and so the ATL group is doing something very similar in sharing resources.
Mhm.
Lois, does ATL-NJ have a website that they can share resources from? A couple people were asking about this.
So for the people who are members of the group, we have a Google Drive that they have full access to. So we would just ask that if you wanted to send a representative from your community, we're willing and open to have people join. We just ask that they attend the meetings, and we have meetings every 6 weeks at most. And that hopefully that you'll decide over time to help on one of these initiatives. But other than that, yes, all the information we share, letters of endorsement, we share sample ordinances, we share surveys, we share research that we found on lawn maintenance equipment, presentations, all of that is available for any of our participants. And if you're interested in joining, just Sylvia will give you my contact information, and I'll give you a call and I'll get you set up.
Yeah, so you can let me know. Either you can add your name and email in here in the chat, Larry just did, or you can also email me at rabaki@verizon.net. Just email me, and then I compile the list and I'll send it to Luis. Thank you, Luis.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks very much.
It was nice to meet everybody. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Luis.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
All right. I think for me, the take home is that, for those of us who use landscapers, we should feel empowered to tell them how we want them to landscape. They're kind of going on default mode, and maybe get that message out to folks in our respective towns. All right, so next up on the agenda is committee reports, something we always say we're going to spend time doing, and I hope we do have time this time. If there are folks here who can speak up about the committees. I think that Larry, you mentioned you could give a bit of a recap on where we are with single-use plastics.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If so, take it away.
My first comment is about the last part was a nice surprise to see, because we have a very positive way of dealing with landscapers. We never use one, because we hear too much noise from the neighbors' stuff, where there are eight machines they run across lawns, and I want to shoot them. I really do. So it's too noisy, it's too polluting, and it's too often during the week. So we do all our landscaping by hand. And don't employ anybody. So if we could find a sustainable landscapers, that would be very, very nice. So,
can somebody who's got some background noise be mute? Can you please mute yourselves?
Yeah, there's background noise from someplace. I don't know.
Thank you.
In any case, single-use plastics. We have not met in several months, and it's really my fault. I haven't had the time to set up the meetings. We had several productive meetings when we started up in the spring. And I'm planning to basically restart, I was going to think end of August, most likely September. We'll restart. And we have a number of topics that several people have volunteered, especially with the mandate coming in next spring. from the state as far as single-use plastics. Not everything is covered. There are exceptions.
Kim, you click on the online shopping department. Kim, take over the online shopping department.
I hear something. Yeah. Okay, all right. Anyway, with all that's coming up from the state, and I guess the DEP is involved with education programs now, we would like to get out the news as far as single-use plastics, what is covered, what towns can do, what the towns who already have bans in place, what else do they need to do? I mean, I'm still going to places in Paramus, which supposedly has a certain amount of plastics bans in place, and I find polystyrene covers on their coffee cups. So I know that they're not really following it. Even the current bans are not following very well. So we need to discuss that. We need to find out the practices in different towns. We need to find out the easiest way to talk to the different towns to see what do they need to do before next spring to be in conformity with what the state would wish to do. We also need to discuss, as several people mentioned, the exceptions to the plastic ban. And there's some exceptions to styrofoam, some exceptions to plastics, and see maybe we can fill that in so that they're covered. Maybe we just have to explain what those exceptions are. We certainly don't want people removing polystyrene food containers and putting in polystyrene plastic containers, thinking that they're different. So we have, there's a lot to do on that level. So once we get started up in September, I wish to have everyone who has ideas to actually send an email or text and give me a list of items that we should be discussing. Several people have done this already. I have all that information already, but I know there's a lot more. And also particularly any speakers who would be really, really excellent, maybe DEP speakers or someone else who could help us direct our energies more productively. So we do need to have a little better direction. We have really only half a year before we have to start implementing things. The straw ban itself, it gets implemented this fall, so even the straw ban is much sooner than we'd like. So that's the situation with single-use plastics. The only other thing I would like to mention is that styrofoam bans and practices cross over into single-use plastics, as styrofoam is a single-use plastic. And if we can do a cooperative discussion or meeting between us and the styrofoam-free group to see what we can do in common. I know the Margaret's education program for styrofoam could be translated or expanded into a education program for single-use plastics, and that would be very beneficial if we can do that. Give us material to present to the towns, short 5-minute videos or whatever they might be. And then also the idea of business awards, as discussed about Oakland. The business awards for styrofoam crossover into plastics because we don't want plastics used where they shouldn't be used. So if we have business awards of the same type, that would also be beneficial. So I would love to have people work with a cooperative effort between the single-use plastics and styrofoam as far as in both these areas. That's it. That's the summary of what's going on.
Thanks, Larry. Ashwani, you had your hand up. Are you still? You have a question?
Actually, an offer. I've been doing single-use plastic campaigns at Ramapo College for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to connect sometime, I can share with you some organizations that help. Colleges and universities do single-use plastic bans. Some of that is likely to be useful to you. I also have a ton of films. If you want to do a film screening, you could work something out.
All right.
Just an offer.
All right. Thank you. That'd be very helpful. Thank you.
And part of the plastic single-use education can also be on types of plastic that are not recyclable, things that many folks are not, commonly aware of,
Mm-hmm.
such as those clam shells that, like strawberries and raspberries and blueberries come in. That plastic is, says number 1, but it's PETE, and it is not recyclable.
Right. There's also a lot of, you see the difference, you'll see, well, they look exactly the same. You'll get a really nice food container from one diner and from another diner, and one is probably propylene and the other is polystyrene. Polystyrene has to be tossed. It can't be recycled in any way, shape, or form. The polypropylene can be recycled. But they look exactly the same, and we need a bit of an education about that.
Okay, so if there's nothing else for single-use plastics, thanks again, Larry. I don't think we have Mark Olson here, or somebody who represents Creative Bergen. I would like John?
I could talk about Creative Bergen if you
Larry.
would. Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, it's very brief. We just had our first general meeting. We're going to have our first board meeting next week, start of the new year. We've elected a new member to the board. We have 5 new members in the group, and we're already planning for the Arts Amble for next June. It'll be June. It was 10th to 12th. I guess 9th through the 11th next June. It's gonna be, and we'll be trying to expand what we did and work with the community so they can plan ahead and do more with it. But it's actually in the planning stages now, and we'll let you know what happens over the next month or so.
Yeah, I understand that the first Arts Amble was a huge success.
It was.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if it makes sense to, I mean, I think that's probably it's a large enough event that you probably can't combine it with anything else, but combining it with Earth Day events that some towns may, some towns have a traditional Earth Day event during that last week of April. Or maybe there can be some cross marketing that you can take advantage of to help to promote. If yours is happening in May, for the Arts Amble, some of these Earth Day events could be doing promotion for you.
Well, this past year, the Earth Day events and the Arts Amble, they're only a week apart.
Yeah.
So that there was some crossover between towns. Oakland had some crossover. I think Westwood may have as well. But we will certainly look at that because we want to promote. This is really promoting the arts within Bergen County, and we would like to definitely get the environmental side a little more presented. But it'll be it's really up to the towns on how they wish to do that. The private events, which are part of the Arts Amble, are up to the artists themselves. And we had some very responsible environmental artists this past year. It was quite remarkable. The towns themselves, may also be interested in having crossover or combining a little bit, but we'll find out as it goes.
Okay, great. Thanks, Larry.
Sure.
So next up is electric cars and charging infrastructure. This is a fairly new and small group. We did develop a EV 101 that we aired and recorded back in April. And currently we are focusing on organizing 2 or 3 electric vehicle car shows. One that was mentioned earlier in the meeting, we're hoping to do together with the Ridgewood Farmers Market. Another is to have some electric cars at the Ridgewood Auto Show, which is September 10th. So any of you who have electric cars who would like to bring it to the show, you can contact Justin Manger or me. And the last show that we've got forming on the books is Upper Saddle River. That's being organized by Ira and Jay and I guess myself. So we're think we're settling on a date in early October. I'm not sure exactly what that is yet.
October 2nd, Saturday, October 2nd.
Are we settled on that?
I haven't heard, but yes, it's all but go, but 96% there.
96 is good enough. All right, October 2nd. And that should be, that'll be a repeat of a very successful event that occurred 3 years ago. So I'm very excited about that being a very successful event. We plan to have dealers there, and hopefully even more than last time, with new models. So people who want to see what's out there can get a chance to test drive 2, 3, 4, 5 different models, and before you sign on the dotted line. And just to remind everybody that there is a $5,000 New Jersey rebate. It's cash off the sticker price. That just started earlier this month for all cars that have sticker prices of $45,000 or less. And if your car has a price of $45,000 to $55,000, that rebate goes down to $2,000. But that is substantial. If you add that up with the federal tax credit, which is still available for most manufacturers, electric cars become quite competitive with gas cars. And of course, their maintenance is about half of that of gas cars. That's my
And-
plug. Yep.
I'm just wondering whether we can do something similar to what they're doing in Westfield, and we can combine the EV car show with a sustainable landscaping, like battery operated landscaping equipment, that maybe we can have a smaller section if you have the space at the EV car show and kind of devote it to that. What do you guys think about that? Would it make sense to do that?
Jay, do you have a?
Well, when I heard the presentation earlier today, that was my exact thought. I thought, why not do that? I was at Home Depot on Saturday. The Makita display is huge, everything from the lawnmower to the leaf blower. And I thought that perhaps we could get a Makita rep to come by on the same day. So I'm up for it. I'll talk to Ira and Ken. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, there's also a place,
Yeah.
Rosler, what is a gardening center. They have a lot of also battery operated equipment. So we can also ask them, I actually contacted them, but I haven't talked to them yet, if they would be interested in coming in and, bringing some of their equipment to show.
Yeah, they would be good. I consider them the experts in as far as a gardening place in Bergen County. In Allendale, we go there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Jay, do you want to give a quick update on where we are at with solar, the latest committee?
Sure. The solar subcommittee, we haven't met in a couple months. Part of the reason why we haven't met was the committee decided that we were going to delay our Zoom session, our informational session, until September. We do have a PowerPoint that is, I would say, 80%, 85% done. We need to update it with some information based on personal experience of members of the committee. We're actually thinking of doing perhaps a joint Zoom session with a live viewing. I think it's Sue from Franklin Lakes offered to open up her house so that visitors could come by and see the solar panels on her house. And at the same time, we could have perhaps we could have a live session simulcast from Sue's backyard so that people could go live and see the speakers. And if we can get savvy enough with the audio visual equipment, perhaps we'll have a live Zoom meeting. And I hope that's right. Sue, are you on the call? I saw you before. Does that all sound right to you so far?
Yes, I'll confirm that September is a go. Our system, I think the reason why we put it off is our system is fairly new. So we have 2 or 3 months of data so far. But yeah, we're more than willing to host people in our backyard and look up at our panels. And by then I'd have I'd have all the information collected, and we could do a live Zoom for sure. I guess weather dependent. But yeah, let's set a date for that.
So we'll have another subcommittee. But that's where we are, Ken, with solar.
Great, thanks, Jay. And Sue, I noticed you asked about hybrid electric cars and if those qualify for the New Jersey rebate. As far as I know, they do, although it is prorated based upon battery size. That was the case for last year's version of the rebate of the program. This year it changed a bit. So I think they still do qualify, but at a lower amount.
Thank you.
You need to also distinguish between hybrid or plug-in hybrids.
But
right?
yeah, I mean plug-in hybrid only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regular hybrid cars don't qualify.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ken, there's a $7,000 federal credit as well, right?
You're talking about the federal?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, the federal is up to 7,500.
So I haven't looked at it. Does that mean you could possibly get up to $12,000 in credits and buy a new car?
Yeah, it's a great deal. Yep. So the last item is green team announcements. And for this, we usually kind of just go around the table. If you don't feel you have anything you want to talk about, you're welcome to bow out. But if, those who haven't had a chance to talk at all or have something that's that they want to highlight in their green teams, you have the floor. I see a raised hand from John Adams.
Hey, yeah, Ken. Yeah, so from Wyckoff, as I understand, we are hosting the meeting in October, so that's good. And I believe one of the environmental commissioners up in Weimar is getting Tracy Zuer to attend that meeting. I don't have all the details, but that will be in the works. I guess we will make a decision on a date in October. So look for maybe a poll or just some ideas and we'll see how that works. While I'm making announcements for Wyckoff, I wanted to introduce one participant tonight. His name is Sebastian Dash, and he is what we call a junior environmental commissioner for our town. And Sebastian, in his role as a junior commissioner, well, first of all, he's a high school student, and he's seen kind of how environmental action and policy happens on the town level, and it's a great opportunity to sort of see this whole process. And I invited him to this meeting so he could get a feel for how it kind of happens on a countywide level. And also, Sebastian's going to be doing a project that he'll be presenting on styrofoam recycling. It's actually styrofoam recycling and education. So Sebastian, I'll go ahead and take your thunder. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick, and that'll finish up for Wyckoff.
Okay, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Sebastian Dash. I'm a rising junior at Ramapo High School. I live in Wyckoff, and I was planning for my junior commissioner project to do an educational video on styrofoam recycling targeted towards elementary school children. Hopefully, I would have that video shown at all the elementary schools in my town. And the hope is that I could also then set up a styrofoam drive that would happen around mid-October of this year to help promote it and help to promote styrofoam recycling in my town.
Yeah.
Great, thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Sure.
Anybody next?
Hey, it's Tom Sears from Washington Township. I'm sorry I got in here late, but I enjoyed everything everybody's saying. I just want to share a project that my green team will be kicking off next month. It's called Fill It Forward. The green team and the school system, we are going to give each child in the middle school and in the high school a water bottle. On the water bottle will be a digital sticker. Every time a child fills their water bottle up, they will scan the digital sticker. It will count how many times each water bottle is full. And 2 cents will go into a third world water trust fund. We now have 1,800 kids that will be getting a water bottle and a digital sticker. Our estimates will be for the first 6 months will be over 100,000 plastic water bottles that will not be put into the environment. We will be expanding this to the other schools shortly, but we will be kicking this off first day of the middle school and the high school. We also have the school system that did put some purified water outlets in the schools. And I also made a contact with a local water distributor in our shopping center. If the kids go into their store, they will fill their water bottles up for a quarter and the kids will be able to scan it. The middle school children will be able to scan their water bottle 3 times a day. And the high school kids will naturally be a little higher. We set it for 5. So the overall goal will be over 100,000 saved water bottles that we will be putting into the water, into the environment. So that's a big project that we are kicking it off in September. And also I was in the beginning with the Styrofoam project. We have now dropped off our 200 8x8 bag to the recycling center. And we merged with our local middle school, who they already contribute 9 truckloads of styrofoam for the collection. So this is a great project. And we did keep our containers open during the virus. We did get down to Haskell and they are charging, but it is what it is. But we hit our 200 8x8 plastic styrofoam bags that we dropped off. So we are, I'm telling you right now, very happy with the styrofoam project. And our water bottles, if we can save over 100,000 plastic water bottles, which I think we're probably going to surpass that goal, because we will be extending it to the community also. We have already talked to the gym in our town. There's 2 gyms, and they are very excited to join our Fill It Forward water project. So I'm sorry I was late. I had a meeting with my green team. We're going into a safe bicycle route, so I had to get on that. But I just wanted to bring everybody up to date. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Thomas. I mean, that was a great update. I applaud you for the EPS you've collected. That's wonderful. And if you have a description, either
Yes.
a 1-pager or whatever of your plastic bottle program, I'd love it if you could share that with the group.
Absolutely.
If you want to send it to me, I can share more widely. I can upload to Basecamp, for example. However you want to do it. I'd like to learn more about it.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? Any other green team members?
This is Jay from Upper Saddle River. The one thing I'll say is we have one resident who is very excited. She says that she wants to start a community garden. So if there's anyone out there that has been involved with the creation of a community garden, I'd ask that you contact me offline. You can call me or email me. Tell me now and I'll call you.
Glenrock has a community garden. I can reach out to see if there's somebody who you could contact.
We have one in Oakland, and we just literally opened it this year. I was not a part of the green team though when it started up, but Jay, if you want to hit up Allie Fleeson, I think she's also on Basecamp. She would be the one to talk to. They went for the grant, got the money for it, worked with the town, and right now, everybody is growing crazy amounts of vegetables, so it's a success.
Jay, Franklin Lakes has a community garden, and you can contact the chair of the Environmental Commission, Carol Holden. It's been going on for a couple of years, and it's very successful.
Washington Township also has one. We've been outstanding in getting food to the seniors.
Oh, that's nice.
Excellent.
Yeah, I encourage you, Jay, if you want to just drop by, I can give you a tour of ours. That might be the kind of the single best way for you to get an idea of what they're like and what how we at least how we manage ours. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Here in Fairlawn, it's not really a project of the Green Team. It's a project of the of a Rotary Club. We collect plastic and deliver it to certain places where it gets recycled for the Trax company. I believe that Glenrock has a similar program that has already collected 550 pounds. No, I don't know how much. We have collected almost 2 times 500 pounds. The Trax company gives you for every 500 pounds that you collect a bench that the Rotary is going to use for a public project. It seems a very successful project to collect plastic bags and film. People are very enthusiastic about it. It takes me some time to go through it and make sure that it's all kosher stuff, figuratively speaking.
Mhm.
But since March, we have now almost had 1,000 pounds collected.
Great. Mark, did you want to go next?
Yeah,
Savastano?
sure. Yes, thank you. I just wanted to report back on the program that I started here that was inspired by Larry, collecting the VHS tapes and CDs, etc. That's gone gangbusters. The library has a permanent collection bin, and they contacted all of the subscribers to the library, and it keeps coming. I now officially have a boatload of tapes and CDs and everything you can imagine, old cassette tapes. And it's getting, I guess, in the same vein as styrofoam. It's expensive to ship it, but something has to be done about it. So until a better way to move this material comes up, everybody on our green team has offered to contribute towards the shipment of this material to the recycler.
I like your team effort, Mark. I did it on an individual level, and I've gotten rid of, I don't know, 400 or 500 videotapes, but your team effort sounds more economical.
Well, yeah, yes, based on what you said about the shipping costs, I immediately reached out to everybody who was clapping their hands and said, okay, now reach in your pocket, because it's expensive. Yeah. But it's very successful, and I assume when school gets started again, we had gotten some positive remarks from the environmental programs in the middle school, the grammar school, and at the high school. And that's the one positive note coming out of Allendale's Green Team. But I wanted to share that.
Great, thanks, Mark. That's a new project, and I think others of us may follow suit when we've got some time to do that, or when we're cleaning out our houses.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Margaret Denicola from Oradell. Hi. We participated in the Arts Amble in June, and I was very well received by the town. We also have 2 Boy Scouts who are working on Eagle Scout projects with the Environmental Committee. We're heading towards our 3rd bench through the plastic bag collections for Trex. And our EPS collection bin at the DPW is constantly full. I mean, people are recycling and wanting to recycle the styrofoam. That is really a successful program too. And Larry, was there anything else I forgot?
Community garden, we're starting up.
Yeah, so the community garden's getting revitalized. There's going to be a children's educational garden there, a shade garden, and we plan to have programs also there.
Great. And did I just miss it? Did you indicate kind of what's you're continuing to collect the EPS styrofoam at
Yes,
the
we
recycling
do.
center? And
Yeah.
what kind of volumes are you getting on a continual basis now, kind of monthly or semi-monthly or however you can measure it?
Oh, it fills up in a matter of weeks, and then it's overflowing again. And then we have to have, them bring it either to Haskell or Springfield.
And how often are you having to take it to Springfield or
Not
Haskell?
not often enough because it's overflowing. But I would say, Larry, what do you think? Every 5 weeks, 4 weeks, it's full.
I think it's more than that. I think it's more than that at this point. It's at least once a month.
Yeah.
But based on the overflow we get, it probably should be a little more often than that. The
Yeah.
DPW doesn't want to do it that often, so that's part of the battle, and we don't have quite enough place to store it all. So it gets to overflow, then the DPW does a catch up. I guess you could say average every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's really good to know.
And we're a small town.
Yeah, I mean, Glen Rock is also a small town, and that's why I'm following you guys closely, because we want our DPW to do just that.
Yeah.
We want to give them an idea.
Larry, I was just going to say your collection bin, or it's actually a shipping container, isn't it? It's fairly
Correct.
large.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a roll-off container.
It's a roll-off container.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a lot of volume.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
We have volunteers sorted through it every other Saturday in the morning while the DPW is open. So.
Hey, Margaret. So who funds the drop-off fee in Haskell?
The town does.
Okay, and that's something they allocate in their budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not thrilled about it, but they're still doing it, so we're happy about that.
That's nice. Okay.
Glen Rock is also paying for it. I mean, it's a ridiculously tiny part of the overall DPW budget. It's ridiculous. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
I put it in my green team budget.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Yep, that's another way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Anybody else? Any other news items from green teams? If not, I think it is getting late. We're coming up to the second hour here, so I'd like to just move on to talk about the next meeting. Are we going to have a meeting in August? This is my question. And the answer to that follows who's going to do it. If we do.
Well, can we afford to skip a month because it is the end of summer, or do we have topics that must be covered within the next month?
I sense a certain running out of steam and a need to kind of regroup, refresh, turn introspective, and take August off and come fresh in September. That's my suggestion. And if somebody is has a burning desire to hold a meeting in August, I am okay with that.
Ken, this is Ashwini. I think I saw an email to you making an offer to host the next meeting. I forget who it was, but it was in the base camp thread.
Okay, I did see a note from Wyckoff indicating that they would host in October. That's the only one I saw. But I can go back and take a look. Yeah, but I don't see anybody, certainly nobody here is chomping at the bit. I would move then that we don't do it unless somebody comes forth and comes up with an agenda and wants to run the meeting. I would, if anybody else wants to second that.
I'll second your motion. It
All right.
sounds like it's a good break time. It is the end of July already anyway.
Yeah.
So September is not that far off.
Okay, let's just do that. And if the next 24 hours that we find an email or somebody says they really want to do it, I won't stop them. But I suspect we'll be seeing each other again in September, at least for the general hub meeting, the fourth Monday in September.
Do we have a host for then, Ken, already?
No, and so that's the other question. Then we do need a host for September. So it gives more time to think about it. If anybody here is willing to commit to hosting in September, let it be known. But I don't think you have to commit to it now, as it's some time away. But we would need to, to solicit some topics. I mean, usually the host, has one topic they'll want to cover, and then maybe a guest speaker to come in. But it's really up to the host. And I did skip over the new business, but I don't know of any new business. And it looks like we've already covered a lot of new ground with the Green Team report. So unless I'm forgetting something, and there's new business to discuss on point 5 there, I think we can do away with it. And otherwise, just to let people know, I unfortunately forgot to record this meeting until about halfway through. So I got about maybe the tail third of Lois's presentation, but it is there. It's still recording now, and I will upload it once I can remember how to do it. Might need Larry to jog my memory. But more importantly, I'm saving the chat. There's a lot of good chat in here, and I'm hitting that save button one last time. So all the good websites, ideas, questions, and other interesting comments, I'm going to post them on the Basecamp website for this meeting in the folder where we keep the minutes. So feel free to mine that trove of information in the chat. It's just a text. It's just it's a text document.
Thanks.
All right. Any other comments? Otherwise.
Nice evening.
Yes. Good evening, everybody.
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Enjoy August.
Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Yeah. Get
Bye,
refreshed.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.